My name's Jennifer Goings. I'm from Cypress, Texas. This is guardianship abuse. I just really want to touch on some points that my father left out, Ronnie Goings. The main thing, my grandmother was put into a guardianship in April of 2011. We figured the court had done their job, which they obviously don't ever do. We found out in November of 2011 when we went to our last court date, I think it was the 10th, that they had never even had a hearing to find my grandmother incompetent. So from April to November, they wrote checks of hers. They spent whatever the hell they pleased. They put her in houses run by people with, third-degree felonies for deadly conduct, Latrivia Monet Kersey. They did anything you can imagine, lied about the family. They have published a court report saying I am a, admitted drug user, admitted drug dealer, and a single mother of twins, which I'm none of the above. Do have twins, not a single mother. Do I look like a drug dealer or a drug user? No. What else? Our attorney, James Bales, that we had, I've got him on recording. I talked to him one day and was asking him, what the heck went on? Trying to find out what was going on. He told me that if I could get a federal judge to hear our case, he would testify and tell all. I said, well, what does that mean? He said, everything that happened behind the scenes, everything that you're never supposed to hear. I think it was a couple weeks later, my dad is, asking him something about that. He said, well, I never told her that. I had it recorded. I have a tape recorder on my bra all the time because you morons lie so much. What do you expect me to do? God, the tape recordings. I've got tape recordings of the guardian they put in front telling me that the judge does not care that she smokes weed. I've got a tape recording of me asking her, you've got a caretaker over here taking care of grandma that is buying and selling pills out of her house. The judge doesn't care about all that. She thinks y'all are crazy. Well, obviously, she thinks we are. It's insane. I don't even want to say too much because our attorney, James Bales, had an assistant named Kirk Wilson. And Kirk told me that if I continued to get the media involved and fight, that they would come after my kids next. For fighting for my grandmother, and they're going to come after my children. How fucked up can you be? So that's it. Stay out of Harris County Probate Court, especially number 4. I'm going to read something. It's called The Guardian's Recipe for Success. This comes off of the National Association to Stop Guardian Abuse website. Number 1, predators. They can be government agencies, adult protective services, and their contract agencies. County Area Agency on Aging, State Department of Aging, social workers, nursing facility corporations, care providers, caregivers, law enforcement, attorneys, including guardian ad litem, of course. Courts, judges, court reporters, and their associates, such as medical doctors, psychiatrists, other professionals, or greedy family members. Linda Diane Cheatham. In-laws, litigation is the slaughter of the predator bait. The predators cooperate with each other for mutual benefit, financial gain, real estate, federal funding streams, favors, job security, political agenda, etc. Number 2, predator bait. These are our elders, our disabled, those who are victims of crime, especially white collar, accident, friendly neighbors call to adult protective services, disagreement among family that goes to litigation, health crisis, family crisis, any event that results in litigation. You can be advised, intimidated into believing that you need a lawyer, hence litigation. Also, elders whose family live out of state, elder property owners, especially if property is wanted by the state, corporation connected to others. Widows are more common targets than male elders. They are more vulnerable, and those with small families, especially living out of state, and those with no doctors or attorneys in their immediate family. There is something of value to be taken, financial, real estate, political, funding stream, precedent cases, you name it. By the predators, the takings, you do not need to be rich. Assets of any kind between $100,000 to millions of dollars. 3, Unbeknownst to you, you are rapidly encircled by predators. Before the guardianship is granted, which guarantees the guardianship outcome without accountability, the circle is like strangulation. You're very unlikely to get out. You are completely surrounded by the predators, which includes your own attorney and or appointed guardian ad litem. Bar attorney's first allegiance is to the court, not to the client. It's job security. If you are a relative or anyone acting in behalf or defense of the targeted ward and you have a durable power of attorney and are legitimately entitled to information, you're an obstacle. You will be demonized, accused of exploitation the predators are perpetrating or the criminal actions of those who victimized you. Accusations of mental illness. You'll be ordered to get psychology testing from, of course, the predator's associates, not your own doctor. That's a fairly common tactic. Drug addiction, etc. No proof is necessary. Maybe the covered criminal will testify against you. You are not charged with anything. Therefore, you have no right to face your accuser and get evidence in your defense. Accusations are made off the court record, in the court hallway. Remember, it's a kangaroo court. Court proceedings. The judge makes the decisions, issues the orders, and ignores the laws with impunity and no remedy. Elders are expected to get ill and die. Hence, the strategy has been practiced on them for years in the darkness. No exposure without a court order. The disabled now publicly initiated. Number 5, adult protective services are often one entity in the circle of predators. Number 6, intimidation and deception are always tools of the predator's trade. 7, the circle of predators, usually through intimidation, make sure that while treating you as a criminal, there are no witnesses, no written, no verbal, uncensored communication. They demand severe, unnecessary restrictions. They refuse to write them down to avoid any possible proof of abuse and liability, such as no visitors, only one visitor at a time, no video cameras, no telephone access, no audio recorders, no vitamins, nothing from home. You may be allowed supervised visits. The targeted ward's assets will pay for the visit supervisor's time. You need no record of abuse whatsoever, no verifiable evidence of abuse. You may even have proof of good caregiving, which is an obstacle, but it will never be entered into court record. Number 8, the targeted ward and later declared ward is denied specialized medical treatment, even when he or she can pay for it. He or she is allowed no contact with medical professionals outside of the predator circle, which includes its associates. He or she is not supposed to improve, since that is an obstacle to squeezing every penny and possible benefit from the ward and avoiding any possibility of liability. No independent medical evaluation is allowed. We asked for it. We didn't get it. Even though the law requires it. The predator's doctor examines the targeted ward, and that is his or her independent medical evaluation. The ward is expected to be, and almost always is, a ward until death. The ward is sentenced to enforced health decline. The family has no say at all. If the ward has died, the family member who's the obstacle to the predator's profit is not even told. The guardian owns the ward and the fruits of his or her spouse's lifetime of labor. Wards are slaves. They are regarded as property, not as humans. They are owned, and as a result of no accountability and no remedy, just as in the Terry Schindler display of corruption and murder. Number 9, deception and no exposure. They are two fundamental keys to the guardian's success. The media will not print the real story, if they print anything at all. Notice how most people think Terry Schindler's case is uncommon. If exposed, there would be no predator bait. Number 10, felony crimes are committed against you. You are suppressed, covered up. Authorities will not prosecute the crimes against you because the predators are likely to use alleged criminal against you as witness. The acknowledgement of the crime might be an obstacle to gaining guardianship over the targeted ward, which is the lockdown of the takings. Any and all obstacles are removed with no regard for laws, crimes, human rights, abuse, or exploitation. Obstruction of justice is a predator's specialty. No law enforcement nor remedy, recovery, justice for the crimes committed against you is allowed. An emergency temporary plenary guardianship of the person and estate may be granted to one of the predators without a hearing, in the judge's chambers, of course. Your lawyer will play dumb or fabricate an explanation such as, it's just temporary until things can be investigated. It's normal. Pretty sure we were told that. That's not right. That is the initial stage of ownership, guardianship of the ward, and the beginning of hell for you and your family. The ward's mail, finances, health care or lack thereof. Their complete existence is taken over by the emergency temporary guardian or permanent guardian. You, her advocate, will be allowed no information on their safety. You will not be able to help them or care for them, hardly love them at all. You become non-existent. The ward has no family. And for all practical purposes, if you make a complaint about the facility, you are not allowed to know the results. The information goes to the guardian. You have rights on paper, and in reality, you must know them. Your attorney probably won't tell you. And when you exercise your rights, you will be considered angry, aggressive, or something equally negative. Sometimes you're punished and can never see your loved ones again, which is exactly what they're doing to us. If your family seeks help through government agencies, state government, federal government, legislative representatives, you'll get the runaround, shut down, and told to leave. The more grievous the violations, the more of a closed-door, get-out attitude you get. The greater wrong committed towards you, the more impossible it is to get any help. Most attorneys seem to regard guardianship cases like leprosy. They're untouchable. If you have $100,000 or more remaining, an attorney may take your case. That has nothing to do with the outcome. Contingency does not exist for guardianship. Public interest law groups will not touch it. Your attorney does not make a good record for appeal since he must be favorable to the probate judge. If you can still afford an attorney, you're most likely to appeal and lose. If you can't, you try to find a remedy such as a pro se litigant. This woman says she's been more successful learning from the experienced litigants and just representing herself. The state Supreme Courts, Pennsylvania, Florida, Nevada, Massachusetts, Oregon, Virginia, and more have a negative reputation and are not known for upholding the rule of the law. Neither is Texas. If you try federal court or bankruptcy court, both federal, you may delay some of the confiscation of property, but a remedy is unlikely. Exposing corruption in high government places is taboo. Then the excuse of absentine doctrines covers for the taboo. Federal courts do not take jurisdiction of cases litigated in a state court if the outcome would trump a state court decision, even in matters of constitutional violations. It is possible to get past the absentine doctrines, but you're much more likely to pretty much be screwed and not get anywhere, just like in Terry Schindler's case. The ward and advocating family members pay for your own abuse, exploitation, and involuntary institutionalization. After the guardianship is permanent, involuntary institutionalization may be paid by Medicare fraud. The predators want as much of the possible takings to divvy among themselves. This war goes on for years. If you persist towards remedy, your health is negatively affected from the constant stress. You have difficulty functioning as well as you did before hell, which compounds the stress. Depression, anxiety, ulcers, cancer, or other chronic illnesses affect the ward and their family. Your financial losses are not recovered, and you can easily become totally broke. A great deal of time is required, but your family's relations are difficult or shredded due to abuse, loss, helplessness, disillusionment, etc. The ward, your mother, daughter, family member, is held hostage while you spend most of your time and resources attempting to free them. And if you cannot free them, your family member, when they're no longer a profit producer, about the time limited medical treatment produces diminished health, he or she will have a duty to die. First, they give them no food or water. Their organs start to fail. They give them some morphine, which hastens death by reducing respiration. The above strategy without truthful media exposure is silence of the lambs. Without forewarning this entire recipe, the predators almost always succeed, and you, the family, and the ward pay as victims of crime with unimaginable loss, abuse, and exploitation. Without remedy, it's an epidemic practice. And that's it. We need to throw them all out, we need to vote them in, and we need to be able to kick their asses right out.